DS and the NLDS, the best two words in sports is Game 5.
Game 5. I mean, I haven't seen what they had. The lead singer, was it 311? Just going throughout the stadium.
Yeah.
Petco Park was on fire. I mean, for a city as big as it is, with a media market as big as it is to only have one of the big four teams in it. I mean, if you're anyone, you're there, right? You have to be.
You have to be.
You absolutely have to be.
There was a power outage in Hermosa, like around 6. So like couldn't watch any of like the first couple innings, like where Mookie Betts hit the home run, Ohtani got the hit. But apparently there was a power outage in San Diego because the Dodgers won 8-0. Hello and welcome to Big Ben and K-Win on nofilter.net and YouTube. If you're more of an audio podcast, download, listen, subscribe, 5 stars, anywhere you get your podcast. I'm K-Win. He's Big Ben. Today we're going to talk some NFL, some college football, maybe some fantasy. We may even get back to Game 5 of the NLDS and Big Ben's ALDS going to Game 4 in Kansas City today. Where do you want to get started?
I think we got to go to the NCAA football because there's two big games this week, and I think everyone
more than that, but
there is more than that. There, you got Colorado, Kansas State, you got some fringe games, but I think what wetted everybody's whistle was the Georgia Alabama game. Like, okay, the season has started. To watch a game like that, you're like, okay, I need to see more of that. And will we see more of that? I don't know. That's to be discussed when Oregon hosts Ohio State this weekend in Eugene at Autzen Stadium is this a revenge game? It's got to be a revenge game. This has to be on your calendar.
For the Buckeyes?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yes. It's a revenge game.
Oregon came in and beat you in Columbus. So the way I look at this, there's Oregon State.
It's a 2-part revenge game because Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator for the Buckeyes, is coming back. Double revenge game.
Okay, so hear me out. I want to hear the implications in the college football playoff standings as it is. This has got to be one of the biggest game of the weekend as I look at it. Because they're both Big Ten opponents. Big Ten and SEC are going to get the majority of the teams in. But I think you have to be pretty conservative, I think, if you're both teams. Like, the last thing you want to do is a bad loss. And even more so if you're Oregon at home.
Conservative in terms of your offensive approach?
Exactly. So you got 2 quarterbacks, Will Howard at Ohio State, Dylan Gabriel, both of them older than Caleb Williams, who's in the NFL. And actually both of them nearly older
than me, too.
Both of them nearly older than Jaden Daniels. Like, that's the world we live in now. Dylan Gabriel in his 6th year, and then you have Will Howard in his 5th after transferring from Kansas State. Conservative in that you have 2 very tenured quarterbacks who don't give the ball up, can make smart throws. And I think if you're Oregon and you get boat raced by Ohio State at home, like you have another loss, you may not see the college football playoff.
Ooh, wow.
That's where I say conservative. You just don't want to lose big if you're Oregon. And you want to maintain the ball control, lessen possessions, and all that sort. It might not be the prettiest game. I think I'd take the under in this game, to be honest. Because I don't think you're going to run the ball. You're not going to go deep. You're not going to want to lose the game. Any turnover whoever wins the turnover battle wins this game. That's in most games, right? But I think more so than anything in this game. Because if you turn the ball over, I'm not going to give it back to you. I'm going to find every way not to give it back to you. I'm going to be conservative in my play calling. And if Ohio State gets out of there with a 10-7 win, they're happy. They're ecstatic.
This is a big weekend for the Pacific Northwest. We'll get to the second game later. That's tonight. Niners versus Seattle. You've got Ohio State at Oregon in Eugene. We should have planned this somehow.
We should have.
I think our personal assistant messed this up. But anyways, Ohio State, high scoring rematch game. Chip Kelly coming back on the other side of the football. Oregon wants to show that it's Big Ten ready It can play with the big boys. It's not going to fall over to like a USC versus Minnesota. So I'm interested. It's also 2 versus 3.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in how this plays out. But what worries me, if I'm an Oregon fan, is what Ashton Genty did to them a couple weeks back, where he ran for 198 yards against the Ducks. And Ohio State's got 2 dogs in their backfield. They're going to run the ball. And when they don't run the ball, America, specifically the Pacific Northwest, is going to be introduced to Jeremiah Smith. The guy's a beast. Like, remember the Bama-Georgia game when everyone's like, who's this Ryan Williams guy making plays? Like, I think that's what's going to happen with Jeremiah Smith. I'm worried if I'm an Oregon fan, because I think the Buckeyes are going to dominate the line of scrimmage. And Oregon didn't really do much early in the year with pass protection, run defense, and I think it's going to show up in a big way today. And you know what? This College Game Day, it's sponsored by Home Depot, because Dan Lanning is going to have to go to Home Depot and get some sealant to fix up his squeaky offensive line.
You bring up the Chip Kelly point, and I think that's maybe buried in the headline here, but it is Chip. Chip may have a little chip on his shoulder going into Autzen, if you know what I'm saying, and even more motivation for his team. And yeah, he might kill him softly with the run game. I don't know if you see another Ashton Gentry it might be if Ashton Gentry's Derrick Henry, then your guy is Will Anderson, or the running back for Ohio State might be Justice Hill. I don't know if they're
Who's got the better offensive line? Boise
That's
State
very true.
Or Ohio State. I don't think one guy is going to do it. I think it's going to be committee.
That's very true. And I think the first drive that Ohio State's will set the tone. Like, what's Chip going to do? Is he just going to barrel down you and go big? Or is he just going to barrel down you in Big Ten football, prescribed 4 yards in a cloud of dust, or in this case, whatever it is on the turf, rubber. I see Ohio State winning this game. To your point, to everything you just said, I think you come into Autzen, so you come in with kind of this chip on your shoulder, but also it's a revenge game for Ohio State. But then also you're used to this Big Ten pressure. You're used to the big, and we saw what happened to UCLA and Penn State. Like, Penn State was just bigger, barreled every, they saw the guy, the offensive tackle just bury a guy from UCLA. I don't see that happening with Oregon, but to some respect, it probably does.
Yeah.
The bigs went out.
I know we're supposed to pull for our West Coast teams, but
Oregon's not a West Coast team. It's a flyover. Usually it's a flyover.
Their little brother to Seattle. But, we just talked about Ohio State's offensive line, the running backs, the wide receivers, and Chip Kelly. We haven't even talked about their defense. They have one of the best defenses in the country. I think they have 2 or 3 guys who could get drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. So I just think all around, in terms of talent, personnel, I got to give the edge to the Buckeyes here. It pains me to do it because I don't even like the Buckeyes.
You don't like either of those teams. These are teams you really like in conference. Like you talked about Oregon. Every fan is always paranoid. They're always glass half empty. But I think Dan Lanning, this will be a big game for Dan Lanning. Do you think, but I also look at Lanning's a little young guy relative to the coaching. Like Chip's been around the block. He's seen things. He's been places. So I think that carries a lot of clout weight into the matchup. And I think Chip Kelly in the offense is, if he can just wear down that defense, right? If you have bigger guys, you want to impose that will upon the defense. Mm-hmm. Just take it to them. And Big Ten football is 4 yards in a cloud of dust. This might be 5-6, 4, 5, 6, boom. Big plays with the running game for Ohio State.
Well, and that's how they're going to have to take the crowd out of the game. They're just going to have to physically beat them up, own the line of scrimmage, and then slowly take the air out of Autzen Stadium.
And do it early. Like, if you're up by 2 scores at halftime, there's people that are going home. And that's just how they're going home. They're not happy. All right.
Other college football games. We don't have time to go through them all, but you've got the Red River rivalry at Texas.
By All-State.
Oklahoma. Quinn Ewers is back. Oklahoma looks like it's going in the opposite direction. I think Texas is going to roll in that. You've also got USC versus Penn State. That would have been a game if USC didn't lose to Minnesota last week and show everyone who they really are. And then you've got LSU versus, wait for
Ole
it,
Miss.
Old Miss. There's a lot of good games. Kansas State, Colorado. Love that game too.
That's a good game. I think Ole Miss, and the reason I like the Ole Miss LSU matchup, I can't think of more different coaches. Like Lane Kiffin versus
Which coach would you rather play for?
Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Brian Kelly's just like an
Like,
old curmudgeon who doesn't win.
I feel like if I showed up to like film review with my shirt untucked, Brian Kelly wouldn't start me the next game. You know, it'd be something along those lines.
He'd pull your NIL money.
Yeah, exactly. I'd get a demerit. You know, I'd be on double secret probation. I had to put $5 in a jar, and it will be. Yeah, this is college football playoff implications in a big way. In that, if you win this game, everyone's looking for resume builders at this point.
Yeah,
you know, and this is a resume builder for if Ole Miss can win this game. You know, the probability, likelihood of them, you know, making the college football playoff is big. And Lane needs a win like this.
Yeah.
You know, he needs a momentum builder. Because everyone said Ole Miss has the athletes. They just gotta, you know, you gotta beat Bama, Georgia, and LSU if you're in the SEC. Those are the three. You gotta do it.
Tennessee, don't forget my Vols, even though they had a rough loss to Arkansas. But they'll be back.
They'll be back. They'll be back. I mean,
I think they'll make the playoff.
I don't know about that.
Ooh.
Like, I don't think if you're an SEC team, you got no sure thing going in the playoff right now. Like, I think if Oregon wins, they get whoever wins the Oregon-Ohio State game has the surest thing into the playoff moving forward. I don't think you can say that at this point in the season with any of the SEC teams. Like, you win a ranked matchup, good job, but that doesn't mean you're in the college football playoff. Yeah. Like, you can catch someone like Arkansas on a bad week and you're done.
While I do think Oregon loses this game on Saturday, I think it could be a rematch in the Big Ten championship later in the year. I think both
absolutely
teams could be on a collision course back to meet up again.
And that's the thing is I don't think, you know, we talk about strategy. I don't think you knowing that you're going to probably maybe most likely play again, you know, the playbook, Chip may just play out the first page. You know, it might be, you know, 23 ice and 22 ice, left, right, between the guard. I don't want to expose all that much. If we can win with the running game, let's do it.
I just thought of something. Now with the 12-team playoff, Big Ten and SEC, there is a possibility that two teams could play each other 3 times.
Absolutely. And that
would be wild, right?
Could you imagine? I mean, the most likely probably matchup would be Bama, Georgia, right?
Yeah.
At this point. Mm-hmm. At this point, you got to say Bama, Georgia. Just because you saw the shift in rankings where I might get this wrong, but like Georgia went from 2 to 5 after a loss. You know, everyone kind of said that wasn't, you know, based on that game. Those are probably the 2 best teams. And in the eyes of the College Football Playoff Committee, who determine who go in the College Football Playoff, probably said the same thing. If all the coaches or AP staff that are voting, those are 2 of the best teams.
And if game 2 and 3 are anything like game 1, I would love to see that trilogy.
Right now, every college football fan is saying, just let them play every week. You know? Let them play every week. All right, you want to transition to football or NFL?
No.
I feel like you don't want to talk about NFL right now.
I don't want to talk about my Niners right now because it's not looking pretty. You know what? I had to go back and watch Wide Receivers on Netflix just so I could see my Niners in the end zone because they don't get in the end zone very much. I haven't seen Kittle, Debo, or Brock Purdy do much on offense. I want to dig through some stats with you.
Okay, go.
The Niners were number 1 in the red zone last year. They're number 29 now. Oof. They are last in the league in yards after catch. They lose big leads. This is not Niner football. It's not looking good. And I hate to say it, but it is an absolute must-win game Thursday, tonight. They have to win. They can't go 0-3 in the division.
I want to preview this game with you. But before I do, I'm going to throw out an analogy. Here's what the Niners feel like to me, the LA Lakers of last year in the NBA. Hear me out.
Ooh, okay.
You got LeBron, LeBron is your CMC, right? Anytime he's down, the offense just doesn't go well, right? He's your point man. He can do most everything, catch the ball in the backfield. He's that guy. And then you have Anthony Davis, who we could call Debo, right? We could call Debo.
Injury. Can't stay on the field. Debo's always hurt.
Exactly. So you got those guys, and then you're trying to operate with Austin Reeves and DeMarcus Russell or D'Angelo Russell and some of these guys, and it's just not pretty. And that's what I think you see out of the Niners is the inability to get healthy, and then you see the impact CMC has on that offense.
Yeah,
like it's just Brock Purdy is doing the best he can do, but Brock Purdy is who he is without those assets, right? He's not as good. Ayuk's getting 15, 16 targets, but he can't get in the end zone. And Jordan Mason isn't even close. Like Jordan Mason looked good in that first game just because he came in with house money. Now that people can scheme against him and the playbook shrinks.
he's second in the league in rushing.
Hold on. The playbook shrinks. You have to give him the ball, right? He's your only serviceable running back right now. But the playbook
he's offensively their best player right
Hear
now.
me out. The playbook shrinks. When you don't have CMC, when you don't have Debo, the things you can do is finite, much more finite than what you can.
Jordan Mason's not catching the ball out of the backfield.
Exactly. So if you're a defensive coordinator, you look at what they can do. You put the personnel out and you can prevent most anything. Then you're not being surprised. All you're doing is dropping back and looking for Ayuk and Kittle. You can't do a lot of what you see in Miami or what you see in Kansas City with motion and so forth because you just don't have that personnel anymore. So can you win like that? I don't know. You lost to the Cardinals. You let them come back in the second half. And what happens there is when you don't have those assets, your offense is either off the field pretty quickly in 3 and outs because you just don't have that assets. And then your guys like Joey Bosa and the entire defensive on the floor, on the field for too long. And exactly what happened in the second half, Kyler Murray stitched them and you're running out of gas. Accurate assessment, poor assessment, poor analogy.
No, I agree. I just sometimes the truth hurts, right? When you don't have McCaffrey in there, the plays that you can run are different, right? And Ayuk, for all intents and purposes, his last couple of games were preseason games, right? Like he's just getting back into the flow of things. I think it just looks a little different right now, and they have to figure out a different way to win because I don't think CMC is coming back anytime soon.
So give me your assessment of the Seahawks. I just gave you mine of the Niners. Give me your assessment of the Seahawks because I heard a lot on the text thread was vicious towards Ryan Grubb this past weekend. So I want to hear your assessment of the Seahawks.
I think the Seahawks are a young, fighting team. They're almost like a teenager, right? Where like sometimes you're like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you for doing that. And then other times you're just shaking your head and like, why would you do that? Don't you know better?
Yeah.
Like, Kenneth Walker ran the ball for 5 times this past week. And then the week before that, he had 3 touchdowns, like 80 yards. I just think they're very inconsistent like a teenager, but they have talent. They have all the pieces. I think that they just have to grow together, and they are who they are. Like, I don't think me, you, or anyone thought that they were going to lose maybe 1 or 2 games. I think they're closer to a 500 team, wildcard team, than a team that wins the division. However, this division's wide open.
Yeah.
Now, anyone can win the division. And I said it last week. I'll say it again. I think only one team from the NFC West goes to the playoffs. So that makes this game all the more important.
I agree with you. I think that to your teenager, we're going through this stage with a new offensive coordinator, a new coach, and I think Ryan Grubb is trying to figure out how to work with the assets that he has. Like he came out and said, Kenneth Walker's going to get the ball all the time, but then you go up against the Giants and you say, well, I can expose them with the pass game. And I think here's what's wrong with Ryan Grubb. In the college game, you can come out with scripts. In fact, you want to script a lot of plays so that your offense, it makes the game easier for your offensive line, for everyone involved, knowing what you're going to run probably going into it. You can't do that in the NFL. Like the athletes are too good. So he came into that game, I think, and said, I'm gonna beat him with the pass. Well, it wasn't working, but yet you've scripted plays or you have a play personnel already in the offense that doesn't have any way to pivot, right? And so I think Ryan Grubb needs to figure out what works and what works quick, because you do have an opportunity. You win tonight, you're the bell cow heading moving forward. You're you're in the bird's nest. Is that what they say?
Yeah, sounds about right. But I agree with you. I think you can script the first series. A lot of successful NFL coaches do, like Shanahan and Andy Reid. And you do that to see how the defense is playing and what their game plan is. But then you have to quickly adjust.
Yes.
Figure out, all right, I was going in, I was going to pass, now I'm going to run. Or now I'm going to run and pass.
Yes. And how do you transition to that? I think Ryan Grubb saw that, and he's just so stubborn to say, no, I got it. I've seen it. I've studied the film. Again, these are NFL athletes. These aren't college kids, right? In the college game, you can highlight one kid, two kid, where there's leaky points in the defense, right? We're going to expose that kid and just run plays where we expose him, right? Whether it's a linebacker, a defensive end, a cornerback, or whatever. In the NFL, you don't really have that.
No,
you don't. So the ideas and concepts that you have around the college game don't translate to the NFL, and I think we saw that in what Ryan Grubb tried to do last week.
I think we do too.
All right.
Week 6? Yeah, week 6.
Week 6. How you doing in fantasy? I think you got me.
In the No Filter League, I'm doing good right now.
Yeah.
In another league, I haven't won a game. I might not win a game. In another league, I'm like kind of close to 500. So the Dolphins.
Yes.
I don't even have a good enough player to play in place of these guys. Like I'm trying to start like Bucky Irvin and like
I got Javonte Williams running out there and Jacoby Myers. Like my team is atrocious. Anytime you're playing players from outside of a Chiefs player, maybe in the AFC West, it's you're suspect. But yeah, I think the trickle down effect of having Tyreek, he's not putting up points. Achan's not putting up points. I mean, most certain Achan were putting up 20 burgers on the regular basis last year.
Yeah, I know. And then it's like it's hard to make that up when you're streaming players.
And it's, you think you're smarter than, and then it turns out to be right. There's a reason people are on the waiver wire.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, Chris Olave is going to look great in the same offense. And he hasn't been featured. And now David Carr's out. We're going to rely on Spencer Rattler to get him the ball?
It's the year of the kicker. Like Moody put up like 30 in the first week. Aubrey's kicking 60-yarders. You got like it's an odd year. Like there's been no stalwart fantasy guy. CeeDee Lamb's been okay. Yeah. CMC's outright. If you drafted CMC, you're cooked.
Yeah, you are.
I don't see it bouncing back anytime soon. Like tight ends have been atrocious outside of Isaiah Likely, showing up every 3 weeks.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. But we got a big week. I don't know if we have enough time to talk about it. We got Drake May's first start. We got Jaden Daniels versus Lamar Jackson. And don't compare Jaden Daniels.
Don't compare them.
And we got the Raiders. They're paying Davante Adams $970,000 to not play again with a fake hamstring.
The Raiders still are the Raiders.
I know.
Like, I don't know how you make them not the Raiders either. Like, is it just, it's got to be the ownership, right?
Yeah, it's good. Yes.
And the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, but they look like they could get beat by the Panthers tomorrow. Like, it's such a weird, there's so much parity. The NFC North's got every team over 500, but yet, like, it's the Bears, Jordan Love's been off injured. Sam Darnold's got the Vikings at the top of the heap. Who's
the best team in the NFC?
No idea. I have no idea.
I think here, I'll give you the top 3, and then I'll give you 3 teams, then I'll pick. Okay. It's got to be Lions, Vikings, and Commanders. I think the Lions are the best team right now. I would go Vikings second just because they have defense. They have an offensive line. They've got Justin Jefferson. The Commanders have a lot of potential. I don't know if we've seen enough. You said it before, kind of like in baseball, your first time through, Like everyone looks great, and the second time through, they get a scouting report on you. So it'll be interesting to see what defenses do against Jaden Daniels. But it's hard, right? Because do you pressure him? Because if you pressure him, he gets out of the pocket, and it's 6. If you try to contain him, then he's got Scary Terry. He's got Austin Eckler, who's reborn.
Yeah. I think
maybe the Commanders are the best team.
No, I think at the top, here's what I would say. The top 3 teams you just said in the NFC, I think if they played each other round robin, each of them would go 1-1. Yeah. Like, I don't see a team – like, the Lions are good, but you got pressed by the Seahawks. Like, I think top to bottom, the Lions are the best team. Play them in Ford Field, you're done. Yeah. I think you get them out of Ford Field, it might be a little different story. But it's no one from the NFC West, that's for sure right now.
Oh.
No. And the South is the South.
Yeah.
The South is the South. The Saints, Falcons, Buccaneers.
But the South might be better than the East. Like, I don't trust the Cowboys, the Giants. The Eagles are just going to lose until Sirianni gets solid.
It's a weird year in NFL football. I think everyone would say the same. If someone said, if you just didn't watch the games, and just saw the standings, it might be like, okay, I get that. But looking at how the games have played out, wins, losses wise, it's like the Chiefs have looked horrible at times. They're playing with Kareem Hunt and Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, that's. I think Patrick Mahomes is obviously the most valuable player in the NFL. Still.
Yeah, and Andy Reid's got to be one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you want to be a good coach, just eat cheeseburgers, enjoy yourself, enjoy life. There's something to be said for that. Patrick was at the Royals game yesterday. I don't think he needs to come again today because we lost. So, Patrick, please don't come.
What if Taylor Swift comes?
Even worse. Please don't make that happen. We don't need that distraction. You know what we need is Bobby Witt. He's 1 for, I think, 13, 14 in the series.
With Bobby Witt.
Ooh, that would talk about power couple. I think get Travis Kelce out of here. He's doing too many commercials. Bobby Witt and Taylor Swift. That has a better ring to it.
I know.
So are you on your pods or are you on your Dodgers?
Can I tell you after game 5?
No. You got to select one before
I got to do this live right now?
Yes, before we get out of here, you got to pick one.
I think the momentum shifted. I think
answer the questions. You don't
look great in game 4. The bats woke up. It's all about 1, 2, 3. Freddie Freeman got another day off, got 2 days off. I'm going Dodgers in 5.
I hope you're wrong. Just because I want to see that stadium.
It doesn't matter. Then I'll just root for my pods.
Listen, when I watched the Padres game, and I literally sat there and go, this is what Safeco or T-Mobile would look like. Mm-hmm. People going bananas. We wouldn't have 311. We probably have Kenny G, the saxophone guy, throughout the thing. You'd
have Macklemore.
Yes, we would have Macklemore. But we would be going that. I mean, I looked at that and got chills. Like, I want to be there. I want to host. And you could see all the pent up just energy around the pods. I hope they move on. I like the Diamondbacks. Like you saw what the Diamondbacks did last year. Just catch lightning in a bottle. I think the pods could do that.
What about the Mets?
Ooh, pods Mets would be just a. Yeah. Oh, I guess. Excuse me. A good division or would it be?
It could be pods Mets. The Mets moved on.
The Mets did move on. Pods Mets. Oof.
They took down Philly.
I just hope the Royals are the giant killers. Giancarlo woke up. That kind of stunk yesterday. He woke up.
But all the pressure is on the Dodgers.
We do. You got to go house money. Pasquantino and Bobby Witt got a hit.
Yeah.
Pasquantino and Bobby Witt got a hit. Salvador Perez went yard in game 2. We'll see. It's playoff baseball, baby.
It's great.
Playoff baseball.
What you want about baseball during the regular season. I know you agree with me that it's a great sport, but the level, the intensity, the urgency, I love.
Every pitch, you're hanging on every pitch.
I'm nervous, and I'm not even a Phillies fan or a Mets fan, and I'm nervous.
when's the last time someone like, I go to a Mariners game, I see a borderline pitch. You might hear one guy like, come on, ump. But like every, borderline pitch in the playoffs is just pandemonium.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ballgame. And for, like I said, full circle, for a city that has only one Big Four team, but massive population, massive media, and a good team too. It's not as though like you got Jackson Merrill, you got Tatis, you got Machado. Like I might fly down to San Diego. I guess it's in LA, but I'll just go watch it at Petco with all the Padres fans.
Good.
All right, we ready to get out of here?
Let's get out of here. At Big Ben Kwin _ on TikTok, Threads, Instagram, everywhere you get your social media. We broadcast live each week on nofilter.net and YouTube. Make sure you drop your comments below if you're watching it live or on demand. And we are now sponsored by Clean and Simple Foods. Unjunking junk food and keeping healthy, natural snacks. It's cookies. They're delicious. No sugars, original, authentic ingredients. Clean and Simple Foods.
Hey, JD, no shipping to Washington yet. I'm struggling. Tried to buy some today. No shipping to Washington.
Don't worry. We'll take care of you.
Please.
You're a brand ambassador.
I need it bootlegged. Somebody bootleg me some Clean and Simple cookies. They look great. Strawberry, banana, chocolate. Kennedy would love those. Good little treat. Half one at the end of dinner.
I'll have the intern drive over to JD's house and then drive up to you.
Thank you, please. Could you imagine if that was Uber delivery?
We can't Uber Eats it to you?
Maybe. Maybe from Mass. All right. Go Pods. Go Royals. Go Buckeyes.
Go Niners.
Ooh, big game. Little bet on this? No, a little bet. Hold on.
Listen, the same thing that's going to happen to the Ducks is going to happen to the Seahawks. It's going to be ground and pound, and the Niners and the Buckeyes will prevail. I'm not really going to tune into those games because we already know what's going to happen in home.
How about this? Dog chew toy. Loser dog toy for the.
On which game?
Seahawks Niners.
Yeah, are we going even? No points?
No points.
Straight up, money line.
Yep. A dog chew toy of Theo or Roy's choosing.
Under $25 because Roy's a big dog. I don't want to
Under 20. We'll do it under 20. Okay.
Deal.
Boom.